He was my brother's best friend. Strong, loyal, and completely off-limits. At least, that's what everyone thought. But the way his eyes lingered when no one was watching, the way his voice changed when he said my name. I knew he wanted me, no matter how hard he tried to pretend he didn't. And the moment we were finally alone, everything we'd tried to bury came to the surface. He tried to fight it, but I already knew the truth. When I think back to the beginning, I realize it wasn't just a crush. It was an ache, one that curled low in my stomach every time he walked into the room. His name was Matthew Callahan, my brother's best friend, the one who practically lived at our house all through high school, the one who treated me like I was invisible. Back then, I was just Kyle's little sister, the girl with braces and oversized sweaters who eavesdropped on their conversations from behind the kitchen door. But things changed. I changed. It had been 4 years since Matt had gone off to college with Kyle. They'd both graduated last spring and moved back to town around the same time. Kyle had taken a job downtown, while Matt, with that rugged charm of his and a degree in architecture, joined a small firm right in the city. He started coming by again, mostly to see Kyle, but also, I noticed, to hang around longer than he needed to. And sometimes, when Kyle left the room, I could feel Matt's eyes lingering on me a second too long. Just enough to make my breath catch. One Saturday, Kyle invited a few friends over to hang out in the backyard, barbecue, drinks, the usual. I had no intention of joining them at first, but I couldn't resist the idea of seeing Matt. So I slipped into something casual but intentional. A thin white tank top, just snug enough, and jean shorts that made my legs look a little longer than usual. When I walked out to the patio, Matt looked up from his beer and froze. He smiled that slow, easy grin of his, but I noticed the flicker in his gaze when he scanned me from head to toe. That's when I knew. I wasn't just Kyle's little sister anymore. "Hey, Brooke," he said, standing up. "You've been hiding on us." "Just waiting for the sun to go down," I replied, giving him a look. "It's hot." He swallowed hard. "Yeah. It is." I sat beside him on one of the lounge chairs, close enough to catch the scent of his cologne, something clean, masculine, and impossibly distracting. The guys joked around, music played in the background, but my focus stayed on Matt. Occasionally, our knees brushed, and neither of us pulled away. Later that evening, when everyone left and Kyle headed out to meet some friends, I found Matt in the kitchen rinsing off the last of the dishes. "You always clean up after the party?" I asked, stepping behind him. "Someone's gotta do it," he said without turning around. "I could help," I offered, brushing my fingers along his arm as I passed by to grab a towel. His muscles tensed slightly under my touch. "You really don't have to," he said, his voice lower now, rougher. I leaned against the counter, twisting the towel in my hands. "You always act like I'm off limits." His eyes met mine then, deep blue, conflicted, like he was fighting a war inside himself. "You are," he said quietly. "But you don't want me to be." Silence stretched between us, thick and electric. He took a step forward, then stopped himself. His jaw clenched. "Brooke. You can't pretend anymore," I whispered. "I see the way you look at me when Kyle's not around." His expression hardened, like he was trying to find the right words, the right excuse. But I stepped closer, slowly, letting the towel drop from my hands. Our bodies were just inches apart. I could feel the heat radiating from him. "This isn't fair to your brother," he said finally. "He's not the one standing here," I said. "You are." He groaned softly, his control slipping. "You don't know what you're doing to me." "Then show me." It happened fast. One moment we were staring at each other like the air between us would catch fire, and the next his mouth was inches from mine. But he didn't kiss me. Not yet. His fingers brushed my arm, then slid up to my shoulder. I felt his breath, warm and uneven. "I've wanted you for longer than I should admit," he murmured. "So stop resisting," I said. He stepped back, running a hand through his hair. "I can't." "But you want to." That night, nothing more happened. He left without another word. But the tension between us had shifted. It was no longer a silent undercurrent. It was out in the open now, and neither of us could pretend otherwise. The next week, I found myself bumping into Matt more often than usual. At the local market, at the gym, even on a late evening run. Each time, our eyes met, and something unspoken passed between us. Something heavy, undeniable. One night, Kyle had to work late, and Matt showed up at our house to pick up some tools he'd left in the garage. I was alone, fresh out of the shower, wrapped in a soft cotton robe, my damp hair falling down my back. I hadn't expected anyone. "Matt," I said, startled. "You scared me." "I didn't know you were home," he said, his gaze flicking down briefly before he forced himself to look away. I stepped back, letting him in. "You can find what you need in the garage." "But I just made coffee." He hesitated. "I won't bite," I teased. He gave me a crooked smile. "That's the problem." We ended up in the kitchen again. Same place. Same tension. But this time, I didn't step away when he leaned against the counter beside me. "I think about you more than I should," he said finally, voice low. "I try not to, but it's like, you're always there." "You don't have to fight it anymore," I whispered. His hand brushed mine, then stayed. Our fingers laced together almost unconsciously. "This isn't just a fling to me," he said. "It's not just about wanting you." "I know," I replied. "It isn't for me either." This time, he didn't resist. His lips found mine, soft at first, almost reverent, like he was trying to memorize the moment. Then deeper, more urgent, as if years of holding back had finally snapped. His hands moved to my waist, pulling me closer. My heart pounded as I melted into him, tasting the hunger he had tried so long to bury. It didn't go further that night. Not physically. But emotionally. Everything had changed. From then on, our connection grew, quietly, carefully. We shared moments when no one else was watching. Hidden glances across the room, late-night texts that stretched into the early hours, phone calls just to hear each other's voices. And when we were alone, the chemistry between us flared hotter than ever. But Matt made it clear, he wouldn't cross a certain line until Kyle knew. "You deserve more than a secret," he told me one evening as we lay side by side on the couch, our hands entwined. "So does this mean you're serious?" I asked. I've never been more sure of anything. Telling Kyle was awkward, to say the least. At first, he was stunned. Then furious. Then quiet. But eventually, he saw the way Matt looked at me, the same way he'd looked at me for years without even realizing it. And one evening, Kyle said something that surprised me. "I always thought you two had something. I just didn't want to admit it." With Kyle's acceptance, everything felt lighter. Freer. We didn't have to hide anymore. And as summer melted into fall, Matt and I grew closer than I ever thought possible. It wasn't just about the sparks between us, though those were still there, stronger than ever. It was the way he listened, the way he made me feel seen, chosen. The way we built something real, slowly, intentionally. And sometimes, late at night, I'd tease him about those early days. You really thought you could resist me, I'd whisper, tracing a line down his chest. He'd smile that crooked smile and pull me close. I didn't stand a chance. Because in the end, love always finds its way, even if it starts with a spark no one dares to admit. And I never stopped being grateful that he didn't resist forever.